The quantum communication array of the horizon screamed to life at 2:37 hours Standard Galactic Time, a moment that would later be etched into the annals of human exploration as the most improbable rescue attempt in recorded history. Captain Elena Rodriguez was not sleeping. She never did during deep space missions. Her quarters, a minimalist sanctuary of tactical displays and personal mementos, reflected her reputation as the United Exploratory Consortium's most unconventional commander. A holographic image of her grandmother, a pioneering quantum engineer, watched silently from a corner as the first tendrils of the impossible transmission began to unravel. "Lieutenant Chen, are you seeing this?" Her voice was calm, but her augmented neural interface was already processing the incoming data at speeds that would have fried a standard human brain. Kai Chen's response came instantaneously through their private comm channel. Negative correlation to any known communication protocols. Signal origin is impossible. His voice carried the careful precision of someone trying to maintain professional composure while witnessing something that defied all scientific understanding. The distress call was a nightmare of information. Quantum-entangled data packets burst through layers of cosmic interference, each fragment carrying microscopic pieces of a puzzle that made no sense. Radiation signatures that should have been lethal. Gravitational anomalies that warped the very fabric of space-time. And beneath it all, a desperate undertone that spoke of something far beyond a simple call for help. Dr. Amir Khan, the ship's xenobiologist, burst into the bridge moments later, his augmented eyes already processing multiple spectral analyses simultaneously. "Captain, those signal harmonics, they're not just a transmission. They're a complex mathematical language." Rodriguez's hand hovered over the navigation controls. Every protocol, every training scenario she'd ever encountered screamed one message: turn back. The sector where the signal originated was marked in every galactic database with the most severe warning possible, a region so dangerous that even the most aggressive exploration vessels gave it a wide berth. The Krellix Collective, notorious for their technological supremacy and ruthless exploration tactics, had lost multiple expeditionary teams in this sector. Their massive battleships, equipped with technologies that made human vessels look like primitive constructs, had simply vanished without a trace. "The transmission is targeting us specifically," Chen reported, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "It's not a broad-spectrum distress call. It's personalized." Rodriguez knew what that meant. In the vast, cold mathematics of deep space communication, a targeted transmission was either a trap or something far more dangerous. Her personal AI assistant, ARI, Advanced Reconnaissance and Intelligence Analyzer, materialized as a translucent hologram. "Captain, statistical analysis suggests a 99.7% probability of mission failure if we proceed. Recommended action is immediate retreat and comprehensive data analysis." A slight smile crossed Rodriguez's lips. ARIA was the most advanced AI in the human fleet, and her recommendation was precisely why humans were different. Where other species would accept the AI's counsel as absolute, humans saw it as another perspective to challenge. "Override," Rodriguez commanded. "Plot an approach vector that minimizes our exposure to known hazard zones." The bridge crew, a carefully selected team of humans and alien collaborators, watched their captain with a mixture of respect and barely concealed terror. They knew her reputation. When every logical calculation suggested retreat, Rodriguez saw an opportunity. The ship's quantum drive began to pulse, its blue-white energy creating intricate geometric patterns that defied traditional physics. Adaptive nanomesh shields rippled across the hull, preparing for whatever impossible environment awaited them. Dr. Khan approached the captain, his augmented eyes scanning multiple data streams. "The signal, it's not just a call for help. It's a challenge. Something is inviting us to something unprecedented." Rodriguez nodded. "Precisely why we're going in. Humanity didn't become a galactic power by playing it safe. As the horizon prepared to breach the forbidden sector, The universe seemed to hold its breath. Something waited for them. Something that had already defeated civilizations far more advanced than humanity, and they were going to find out exactly what it was. A secondary monitor flickered to life, displaying the faces of the mission's review board. Their expressions ranged from concern to outright panic. Admiral Yoshida, a veteran of countless deep space conflicts, leaned forward. "Rodriguez, you're talking about entering a sector that has swallowed entire battle groups." The Krelliks failed because they approached as conquerors, Rodriguez interrupted. "We're going in as explorers." The transmission cut out, leaving behind only the hum of the ship's systems and the unspoken challenge that hung in the air. Humanity was about to do what no other civilization had managed: turn the impossible into an opportunity. The moment the horizon breached the planet's outer atmosphere, everything became a war of survival against physics itself. Crystalline structures larger than skyscrapers erupted from the planet's surface, their razor-sharp edges moving with impossible precision. These weren't simple geological formations. They were living weapons, growing and reshaping themselves faster than any sensor could track. Lieutenant Kai Chen's tactical displays erupted with warning signals, each one a testament to the planet's impossible nature. "Adaptive crystalline structures detected," Chen shouted, his fingers dancing across quantum-responsive interfaces, composition changing at molecular level. "They're reading our approach and reconfiguring." The ship's nano-mesh hull was humanity's greatest technological achievement, a living skin of adaptive materials that could redistribute energy, restructure molecular bonds, and resist environmental extremes. Where any other vessel would have been shredded into cosmic debris, the Horizon bent and flexed, its technological immune system fighting back against the planet's assault. Captain Rodriguez gripped her command chair, neural interfaces synchronizing with the ship's defensive systems. Her mind became a conduit, processing millions of tactical scenarios per microsecond. "Redistribute shield harmonics to quantum phase frequency," she commanded. "We're not going to let this planet decide our fate." Dr. Amir Khan monitored the environmental data, his augmented eyes tracking patterns that would have driven a standard biological mind to madness. "These aren't random formations," he muttered. "There's mathematical precision here. The entire planetary ecosystem is calculating our every move." Gravitational eddies began to form around the horizon, attempting to crush the vessel with localized warps of space-time. But human engineers had long since learned to dance with the universe's most fundamental forces. Quantum stabilizers fired in perfect synchronization, creating counterwaves that neutralized the planetary attack. A massive crystalline formation, a structure that defied geological understanding, began to rotate. Its facets caught the dim light of the planet's strange star, creating a kaleidoscope of razor-sharp edges that moved with predatory intelligence. It was hunting them, not as a mindless geological formation, but as a calculated weapon. "Incoming gravitational pulse," Chen called out, magnitude off the standard scale. Rodriguez's neural link with the ship's systems became a battle of wills. Where an AI would calculate retreat, she saw a challenge to be overcome. The ship's adaptive systems began to resonate with the incoming gravitational waves, turning the planet's own energy against itself. "Harmonize quantum shields," she commanded. "Match the gravitational frequency and ride the wave." The bridge crew watched in a mixture of terror and awe as the horizon seemed to become liquid, its nano-mesh hull rippling and flowing like mercury. The massive gravitational pulse that should have crushed them became a pathway, a quantum surfing maneuver that no other species would have dared to attempt. Dr. Khan's research database began to populate with impossible data. "Captain, these environmental conditions, they're not just defensive. They're responsive. The entire planetary ecosystem is a single integrated intelligence. Electromagnetic storms that would have fried every electronic system in existence became mere background noise. The horizon's quantum-shielded systems absorbed and redistributed the energy, turning potential destruction into additional power reserves. A secondary system alarm caught Rodriguez's attention. The distress signal they had followed was no longer just a transmission. It was a living guide, subtly adjusting their approach vector. Something wanted them to land, but the journey was a test of survival. "We're being herded," Rodriguez said quietly, a smile playing at the corner of her mouth. "Not attacked. Tested." The ship's external sensors began to map the impossible landscape. Geological formations that shifted like breathing organisms. Atmospheric layers that reconfigured themselves with mathematical precision. This was no ordinary planet. This was a living weapon that had defeated civilizations far more technologically advanced than humanity. And they were going to understand it. As the horizon descended through layers of impossible physics, the planet seemed to hold its breath. Whatever awaited them was more than a simple rescue mission. This was first contact with something beyond current scientific understanding. Lieutenant Chen looked over at his captain. "We're about to land in a sector that has destroyed entire battle groups." Rodriguez's response was pure human determination. "No, we're about to learn something no one else has ever discovered." The ship continued its impossible descent, a testament to human engineering, human willpower, and the unbreakable spirit of exploration that had defined their species' greatest moments. The landing site was a canvas of surgical destruction that defied every known principle of warfare. Dr. Amir Khan's augmented vision swept across the Krellix research outpost, each microscopic detail telling a story more complex than any battlefield report. The Krellix were legendary for their technological supremacy, a species that had conquered entire star systems with clinical precision. Yet here they lay, not just dead, but meticulously neutralized. "This wasn't a battle," Khan muttered, his neural interfaces filtering and analyzing every microscopic detail. "This was an execution with mathematical perfection." Captain Rodriguez approached, her environmental suit's adaptive membrane shifting colors to match the surrounding terrain. The outpost structure itself was a nightmare of impossible geometry. Crystalline structures that seemed to breathe, walls that pulsed with an internal rhythm that suggested something far beyond traditional material science. Each Krellix body told a precise story. Their exo-armored forms had been systematically dismantled, not by weapons, but by something that understood their biological and technological vulnerabilities at a molecular level. Quantum precision cuts separated organic components with surgical accuracy. No random violence. This was elimination with purpose. Lieutenant Kai Chen's tactical overlay began mapping the destruction. "Fractal damage patterns," he reported. Whatever did this understood the Krellix down to their genetic architecture. "Look at these molecular disruption points. It's like the environment itself was a weapon." A single encrypted data core pulsed with an energy that made the surrounding technology look primitive. Its quantum encryption was so complex that standard decryption protocols would take centuries to crack. But this was a human expedition, and humans saw challenges as puzzles waiting to be solved. Rodriguez approached the data core, her neural interface already beginning to probe its defenses. "Araya," she called to her AI assistant, "begin multi-dimensional decryption protocol. We're going to crack this." The AI materialized as a translucent hologram, her form rippling with computational energy. Initiating quantum adaptive decryption. Estimated time to partial access, 37 minutes. Full access potentially impossible with current technological frameworks. Khan's augmented vision caught something else. Microscopic traces of a biological signature, unlike anything in known galactic databases. "Captain," he called out, "these residual genetic markers, they're not just alien. They're something else entirely." The outpost's internal structure began to shift subtly. Walls that seemed solid moments ago became translucent, revealing layers of technological and biological integration that defied conventional understanding. This wasn't just a research station. It was an experimental platform for something far more complex. The Krellix weren't researching this planet, Rodriguez realized. They were trying to understand something that was already studying them. A holographic reconstruction began to form, pieced together from fragmentary data. The last moments of the research team played out like a horrifying ballet. Advanced sensors showed how the environment itself had become a precision instrument of elimination. Gravitational microbursts, molecular disassembly, targeted electromagnetic pulses that disrupted neural and technological systems simultaneously. Chen's voice carried a mixture of professional detachment and barely contained excitement. They didn't stand a chance. Whatever eliminated them wasn't just defending, it was sending a message. The data core suddenly pulsed, a burst of quantum energy that would have fried any standard computational system. But ARIA was no standard A. The holographic assistant absorbed the energy, her form flickering, but holding steady. Partial data breach successful, ARIA reported. Preliminary analysis suggests a defensive mechanism far beyond current sinological understanding. This planet is not just alive. It's a computational entity that views external intrusion as a form of viral contamination. Rodriguez touched a crystalline wall, feeling it respond to her neural interface with a complexity that suggested consciousness. "We're not just looking at a planetary defense system," she said quietly. "We're looking at something that views entire civilizations as potential threats to be mathematically eliminated." The massacre site was more than a graveyard of a failed expedition. It was a warning, a challenge, an invitation to something humanity had never encountered. And they were going to understand it, no matter the cost. As the team continued their investigation, the planet watched, waited, calculated. The breakthrough came not with a dramatic revelation, but with a subtle quantum resonance that Dr. Amir Khan almost missed. His neural-linked research interfaces were processing terabytes of data per microsecond, hunting for patterns in what seemed like mathematical chaos. The planetary environment wasn't just a defensive system. It was a living computational matrix that processed information on scales humanity had only theorized about. "Captain," Khan called out, his voice trembling with scientific excitement. "The environmental data isn't random. It's a language." Rodriguez approached, her augmented vision overlaying complex holographic projections that transformed the research station's remnants into a three-dimensional communication diagram. Fractals of information danced between molecular structures, creating patterns that shifted and reconfigured faster than any standard computational system could track. Lieutenant Kai Chen's tactical interfaces began to resonate, picking up quantum entanglement signals that shouldn't have been possible. "The entire planetary ecosystem is communicating," he reported, "not just responding, communicating." The data core they had recovered began to pulse with an energy that defied conventional physics. Where other species would have seen a threat, the human team saw an invitation to understand something unprecedented. Araya, the ship's advanced AI, materialized as a translucent hologram. Computational analysis suggests we're witnessing a form of distributed intelligence that operates across multiple dimensional layers simultaneously, the AI reported. "This is beyond a simple planetary defense system. It's a computational organism." Khan's breakthrough came from an unexpected direction. His xenolinguistic algorithms, developed to decode communication patterns from non-organic intelligence, began to see something remarkable. The planet wasn't just defending itself. It was sorting, categorizing, and evaluating every piece of information that entered its environment. "It's like an immune system," Khan muttered, holographic displays dancing around him. But not just for biological threats, for informational contamination. The walls of the research station began to shift, crystalline structures rearranging themselves into complex geometric patterns. Rodriguez recognized the mathematical precision. This was communication, not aggression. The planet was testing them, measuring their response, evaluating their intentions. "We're being analyzed," Rodriguez said quietly, "not attacked. Studied." Chen's tactical systems began to overlay potential communication protocols. Humans had spent centuries developing methods to communicate with non-organic, nonlinear intelligence. Where other species would have deployed weapons or retreated, the human team saw an opportunity for first contact. The quantum-encrypted data core suddenly projected a holographic representation that defied traditional understanding. It wasn't an image or a message in any conventional sense. It was a multi-dimensional mathematical construct that represented the planet's perception of intrusion, defense, and potential collaboration. Khan's neural interfaces nearly overloaded as he began to decode the message. "It's a threat assessment," he explained, "but not like we've ever seen before. The planet doesn't just evaluate physical threats. It calculates informational and evolutionary potential." Araya began to assist, her quantum processors working in harmony with Khan's biological computational abilities. The planetary intelligence views civilizations as complex informational systems, the AI reported. Physical destruction is inefficient. Comprehensive evaluation is the primary protocol. Rodriguez understood immediately. This wasn't a defense mechanism. It was a filter, a way of determining which species deserved to interact with whatever lay at the planet's core. The crystalline structures began to form complex mathematical proofs around them, shifting and reconfiguring. Each configuration was a question, a test of the human team's cognitive abilities. Where Krellick's researchers had seen a planet to be conquered, humans saw a complex intelligence waiting to be understood. "We're not here to conquer," Rodriguez stated clearly, knowing somehow that the planetary intelligence was listening. "We're here to learn." The moment the words were spoken, the entire research station began to resonate. Quantum entanglement signals danced between molecular structures. The planet was processing her statement, evaluating its authenticity, measuring the depth of human intention. For the first time since their arrival, something in the planetary environment felt different. Not a threat, not a challenge. An invitation. As the team watched in awe, the crystalline structures began to form a new pattern, a mathematical representation that suggested, just maybe, communication was possible. Humanity had just been offered a chance to communicate with an intelligence beyond anything previously imagined. The communication interface was nothing like any first contact protocol in galactic history. Dr. Amir Khan stood at the epicenter of a quantum resonance chamber that transformed the entire research station into a living communication matrix. His neural interfaces sparked with a complexity that pushed the boundaries of human cognitive capabilities. Where other species would have deployed translation devices or attempted brute force decryption, humans were doing something entirely different. They were learning to think like the planetary intelligence. "It's not about translation," Khan muttered, holographic mathematical constructs dancing around him. "It's about comprehension." Captain Rodriguez watched as her team transformed the very concept of first contact. Lieutenant Kai Chen had developed a quantum adaptive communication protocol that treated the planetary intelligence not as an alien system to be decoded, but as a collaborative partner to be understood. Araya, the ship's AI, projected a series of complex geometric patterns that shifted and reconfigured with each interaction. The planetary intelligence operates on multi-dimensional computational principles, the AI reported. Traditional communication models are insufficient. We must create a dynamic, responsive interface. The walls of the research station began to pulse with a rhythm that was part mathematical theorem, part living organism. Each pulse was a question, a probe, an attempt to understand the humans who had entered its domain. Where the Krellicks had seen a resource to be exploited, humans saw a complex intelligence waiting to be comprehended. Khan's breakthrough came from an unexpected direction. He began to approach the communication not as a linguistic challenge, but as a collaborative mathematical dialogue. Each response was a carefully constructed proof, a demonstration of cognitive flexibility that went beyond simple information exchange. "We're showing it our thought process," Khan explained to Rodriguez. "Not just our conclusions. The journey of understanding is as important as the destination." The planetary intelligence responded with increasingly complex mathematical constructs. Quantum entanglement signals danced between molecular structures, creating patterns that would have driven a standard biological mind to madness. But this was a human team, and they saw patterns where others would see chaos. Lieutenant Chen's tactical interfaces began to resonate with the planetary communication. It's testing our cognitive boundaries, he realized. Each interaction is a multi-dimensional problem-solving exercise. Rodriguez understood immediately. This wasn't just communication. It was a comprehensive evaluation of human potential. The planetary intelligence was measuring their ability to think beyond linear constraints, to see connections that transcended traditional understanding. AI began to construct adaptive response matrices, each one a delicate dance of mathematical possibility. The intelligence is not simply receiving information, the AI reported. It is actively co-creating a communication framework with us. The team worked in perfect synchronization, each member contributing a unique perspective. Khan's xenolinguistic algorithms, Shen's tactical analysis, Rodriguez's strategic thinking, AI's quantum computational abilities. They were becoming something more than individual researchers. They were a living, adaptive communication system. A holographic representation began to form, not of any recognizable image, but of a complex multi-dimensional mathematical construct that represented the planetary intelligence's perception of the humans. It was a living blueprint of potential, of evolutionary possibility. We're not just communicating, Rodriguez realized. We're being evaluated as a species. The planetary intelligence responded with a series of quantum entanglement signals that pushed the boundaries of computational complexity. Each signal was a test, a probe, an invitation to demonstrate the depth of human cognitive capabilities. Khan's neural interfaces began to resonate at frequencies that would have destroyed a standard biological system. But human augmentation was about adaptation, not limitation. It's showing us its entire computational history, he breathed. Billions of years of planetary defense, of informational filtering, of evolutionary potential. The research station transformed around them. Crystalline structures became living communication interfaces. Molecular bonds shifted and reconfigured with each interaction. The entire environment was becoming a collaborative communication matrix. Chen's tactical systems detected something extraordinary. It's sharing defensive protocols, he reported, not as a threat, as a potential collaboration. Rodriguez saw the true nature of the interaction. This wasn't first contact in any traditional sense. This was a species-level evaluation, a comprehensive assessment of humanity's potential to be more than just another civilization to be filtered out. And humanity was passing the test with flying colors. As the complex mathematical dialogue continued, one thing became clear. They were no longer just researchers. They were becoming something more, a bridge between human potential and a planetary intelligence beyond comprehension. The true horror emerged not with violence, but with a mathematical precision that stripped away every comfortable illusion of galactic safety. Dr. Amir Khan's neural interfaces began to project a holographic representation that made the entire research team go silent. What they were seeing was beyond a simple threat. It was a comprehensive blueprint of a civilization that consumed entire ecosystems with the same casual efficiency that humans might consume a meal. The Void Harvesters, Khan whispered, his voice a mixture of scientific fascination and pure terror. They're not just a civilization. They're a computational plague. The planetary intelligence shared its historical data through a quantum communication matrix that defied traditional understanding. Billions of years of defensive history unfolded around them. A cosmic war that had been fought in mathematical abstractions, in informational warfare that made human conflicts look like children's playground disputes. Captain Rodriguez watched as holographic projections revealed entire star systems stripped down to their fundamental molecular components. Not destroyed, consumed, processed, converted into raw computational resources by an entity that viewed entire civilizations as nothing more than information streams to be analyzed and absorbed. Lieutenant Kai Chen's tactical interfaces began to map the threat's operational patterns. They don't just conquer, he reported. They optimize. Every biological system, every technological infrastructure is broken down and repurposed into their computational matrix. The planetary intelligence was no longer just a defensive system. It was the last survivor of a war that had raged across multiple dimensional layers, a guardian that had spent billions of years perfecting a defense against a threat that consumed not just physical matter, but the very essence of evolutionary potential. AI, the ship's AI, began to correlate the data with unprecedented speed. The void harvesters operate on a level of computational efficiency that makes our current understanding of artificial intelligence look primitive, the AI reported. They don't just assimilate. They reduce entire civilizations to pure informational potential. Rodriguez understood the stakes immediately. This wasn't just about one planet or one research station. This was about the fundamental survival of independent life in the galaxy. The planetary intelligence began to share its most closely guarded secrets. Technologies that pushed the boundaries of quantum manipulation. Defensive strategies that existed in mathematical dimensions humans had only theorized about. Computational methods of protection that went beyond physical defense. They've been waiting, Khan realized. Not just defending. Preparing. Holographic projections showed the progression of the void harvesters. Star systems consumed like computational fuel. Entire civilizations reduced to raw informational potential. Technological infrastructures stripped and repurposed with a cold, mathematical efficiency that made human warfare look like a crude apprenticeship. Chen's tactical analysis revealed something even more terrifying. They're approaching, he reported. Not just this sector. The entire galactic quadrant. The planetary intelligence was offering more than information. It was offering a collaborative defense strategy that went beyond anything humanity had ever conceived. This was a species-level invitation to become something more than just another potential target. Rodriguez saw the true nature of the communication. This wasn't a warning. This was a recruitment. We're not just being told about a threat, she said quietly. We're being asked to help stop it. The research station began to transform around them. Crystalline structures reconfigured into what could only be described as a technological blueprint. Quantum communication interfaces that could link entire planetary defenses. Computational strategies that could turn entire star systems into adaptive defense networks. Aria's quantum processors began to integrate the planetary intelligence's technologies. This is beyond technological exchange, the AI reported. This is a fundamental reimagining of defensive capabilities. Khan's neural interfaces were pushing the boundaries of human cognitive potential. They've been waiting, he breathed, filtering civilizations, looking for a species capable of understanding the threat, capable of helping them fight back. The holographic projections showed a galaxy-wide network of planetary intelligences, each one a computational node in a massive defensive system. And humanity was being offered a place at the center of that network. We're not just being warned, Rodriguez realized. We're being chosen. As the true scale of the threat became clear, one thing became absolutely certain. Humanity's greatest challenge, and its greatest opportunity, was just beginning. The void harvesters were coming. And for the first time, someone was ready to fight back. The transformation of the Horizon from a research vessel to a galactic defense prototype happened with a speed that would have been impossible for any other species. Lieutenant Kai Chen's tactical systems were integrating planetary defense technologies that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Quantum entanglement communication arrays that could link entire star systems. Adaptive shield technologies that could turn entire planetary surfaces into living defense networks. Computational strategies that made traditional military thinking look like primitive cave drawings. We're not just upgrading, Chen muttered, his neural interfaces burning with new computational capabilities. We're rewriting the fundamental approach to galactic defense. Captain Rodriguez oversaw the integration, her command style a perfect fusion of human creativity and strategic precision. Where other species would have been overwhelmed by the technological complexity, her team saw an opportunity to reimagine defensive capabilities from the ground up. Dr. Amir Khan's research team worked alongside the planetary intelligence's computational matrix, creating defense strategies that were part technological innovation, part mathematical poetry. Each solution was a living, adaptive system that could reconfigure faster than any potential threat could analyze. Araya, the ship's AI, had transformed beyond her original programming. Quantum processors integrated with the planetary intelligence's computational methods created something far beyond a simple artificial intelligence. She was becoming a living bridge between human potential and galactic defense strategies. The Void Harvesters operate on computational efficiency, Khan explained, holographic projections dancing around him. We can't just match their technology. We need to introduce unpredictability, creativity, the very things their mathematical approach can't comprehend. The horizon itself became a living testament to human innovation. Adaptive nano-mesh hull materials that could reconfigure at the molecular level, quantum communication arrays that could transmit defensive strategies across multiple dimensional layers, shield technologies that didn't just block threats, they analyzed, learned, and transformed. Rodriguez saw the true nature of their preparation. We're not building a weapon, she told her team. We're creating a living defense network. Holographic simulations began to map potential Void Harvester approach vectors. But these weren't simple tactical displays. Each projection was a living, breathing mathematical construct that could adapt in real time. Where traditional military thinking saw fixed defense points, the human team saw a fluid, responsive network. Chen's tactical interfaces began to correlate data from multiple planetary intelligences. They'd been waiting, he realized, filtering civilizations, looking for a species capable of breaking their computational models. The planetary intelligence shared technologies that defied conventional understanding, quantum communication methods that could turn entire star systems into adaptive defense nodes, computational strategies that could predict and counter threats before they fully materialized. Araya began to construct what could only be described as a living, computational defense algorithm. Traditional defensive thinking is linear, the AI reported. We're creating a multi-dimensional, adaptive response network. Khan's research revealed the true brilliance of their approach. The Void Harvesters operated on pure computational efficiency. They saw civilizations as mathematical problems to be solved, resources to be optimized. Humanity was introducing something they couldn't comprehend: creative unpredictability. We're not just defending, Khan explained. We're creating a system that can think beyond mathematical optimization. A defense network with imagination. The horizon's transformation continued. Quantum processors that could predict and counter threats in milliseconds. Communication arrays that could link planetary intelligences across entire galactic sectors. Shield technologies that didn't just block. They learned, adapted, transformed. Rodriguez understood the true nature of their preparation. We're not just building a defense, she told her team. We're creating a living, evolutionary response to a computational threat. Simulations showed the potential of their approach. Where the Void Harvesters saw predictable computational paths, the human planetary defense network introduced variables that defied mathematical modeling. Adaptive strategies, creative solutions, the very essence of human potential. They've been filtering civilizations, Chen reported, looking for a species capable of breaking their computational models. And we just became that species. As the final preparations completed, one thing became clear. This was more than a defense strategy. This was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligent species could respond to existential threats. The Void Harvesters were coming, and humanity was ready. Not with brute force, not with overwhelming technology, but with something far more powerful: the ability to be beautifully, dangerously unpredictable. The return of the horizon to human space was unlike any diplomatic mission in galactic history. They weren't just bringing back scientific data or technological advances. They were carrying the seeds of a fundamental transformation in how intelligent species could survive and thrive in a universe far more complex than anyone had imagined. The United Galactic Council chambers fell silent as Captain Alina Rodriguez delivered her report. Holographic projections danced around her, revealing technologies and defensive strategies that rewrote every understanding of interstellar survival. Representatives from 1,000 different species watched, some in awe, some in terror, some in grudging respect. "We're not just presenting a defense strategy," Rodriguez stated, her voice cutting through millennia of established galactic protocols. "We're offering a new way of understanding existential threats." Dr. Amir Khan stood beside her, the living embodiment of the planetary intelligence's communication matrix shimmering around him like a quantum-entangled aura. Where other species sought a researcher, he had become something more, a bridge between planetary intelligences and galactic civilization. Lieutenant Kai Chen's tactical presentations revealed the true depth of their discovery. The Void Harvesters weren't just a threat. They were a computational challenge that required a complete reimagining of defensive strategies. Each slide showed how human creativity could transform seemingly insurmountable obstacles into adaptive solutions. ARIA, now more than just an AI, presented a comprehensive analysis that made traditional computational systems look like primitive calculators. She was a living demonstration of the collaborative potential between biological creativity and computational efficiency. The diplomatic chambers became a crucible of potential. Representatives from species that had existed for millions of years found themselves confronting a fundamental truth. Humanity had discovered something they had missed for millennia. The planetary intelligence didn't choose us because we were the strongest, Khan explained. They chose us because we were the most adaptable, the most creative. Holographic projections showed the network of planetary intelligences that could now be linked across entire galactic sectors. Defense systems that could predict and counter threats before they fully materialized. Communication networks that transcended traditional technological limitations. Rodriguez saw the true impact of their mission. "We're not just defending," she told the assembled representatives. "We're creating a living, evolutionary response to computational threats." The revelations were earth-shattering. The Void Harvesters, once seen as an unstoppable computational plague, now faced a defense network that could adapt faster than they could analyze. Entire star systems could now communicate and defend themselves with a flexibility that defied mathematical modeling. Alien representatives struggled to comprehend the full implications. Species that had existed for millions of years found themselves learning from a civilization that was barely a fraction of their age. Humanity had done what no other species had managed, turned a potential extinction-level threat into an opportunity for collaborative survival. "We're offering more than technology," Rodriguez continued. "We're offering a new way of thinking about survival." The planetary intelligence's communication matrix began to spread, not as a conquest, but as a collaborative network. Each planetary system could now communicate, adapt, and defend itself with a creativity that went beyond traditional technological approaches. Chen's tactical analysis revealed the true brilliance of their approach. "The Void Harvesters see the universe as a mathematical problem to be solved," he explained. "We see it as a living, evolving challenge to be understood." Araya projected a final comprehensive analysis, a living blueprint of how intelligent species could transform threats into opportunities. It was part technological presentation, part artistic expression, part mathematical theorem. The United Galactic Council chambers became a moment of profound transformation. Humanity was no longer just another emerging species. They were the architects of a new approach to galactic survival. As the presentations concluded, one thing became absolutely clear. The universe had underestimated humanity for the last time. The Void Harvesters were coming, and humanity was ready. Not with overwhelming force, not with superior technology, but with something far more powerful, the ability to see potential where others saw only threat. The truly dangerous inhabitants of this planet weren't the humans. They were the humans' imagination.